All right, welcome back, you guys. We got a lot going on. We got a lot to talk about. I know I've been gone for a minute, but I'm back again. All right, we're going to be going over why I think that we're heading for a race war, why the Democratic left is pushing for that race war. We're going to be talking about how anti-Black and anti-Hispanic prejudice has gone down since 2016. We're going to talk about how the Trump administration has been giving out millions of dollars to HBCUs. And lastly, we're going to talk about the extreme media bias going on and why it's just unacceptable and why I'm just finally putting my foot down because enough is enough. All right, the media is supposed to be there as a neutral party. They're supposed to be there to tell us the truth, the truthful news, to give us the most information that gives us the opportunity to make the best decisions, and they're not doing that. But we're going to get into all of that. All right, we're going to get into all of that. And I'm your host, Brandon Harvey, and this is The Elephant in the Room. All right, so let's get into it. Let's just start off with why I believe that the left is actively pushing for a race war. Now, I want to start being a lot more clear when I talk about things and when I talk about the left and the right. Jordan Peterson said that if you believe that equality of outcomes is more important than the equality of opportunity, then you are on the left. And what that means is that if you believe that everybody should get paid the same regardless of what their educational background is, if you believe that your diversity, for example, is another big one. If your work environment needs to model to model your customer base, that's another one. When you reward people based on the color of their skin or their gender, instead of rewarding them based on their qualifications, that causes a problem. Now, before anybody comes at me and talks about how we've been held back and Black people this and Black people that and everything like that, I'm a salesperson and I've grown my whole life and my whole career based off of commission sales. And so if you aren't working, that is directly based off of you and your work ethic. Period. So if somebody is getting paid just as much as I am for not doing anything, getting to better locations, for not doing anything, getting to better customers, for not doing anything, getting to better leads, for not doing anything, that's a problem. And that's what equality of outcomes means, is that everybody should get a chance to make money. Just because you're making the most money because you're good at your job doesn't mean that the people that are lazy and that aren't taking the time to actually learn about it should get paid the same as you. That's what that is. And once again, if you believe that equality of outcomes is more important than the equality of opportunity, you are on the left. All right? So, with that said, we're moving forward. So let's just jump right into it. Why am I saying that the left is pushing for a race war? Because the left is consistently utilizing the mainstream media to push their racist narrative. They are pushing this whole idea that all cops are bad and that every single white person that you meet in the street is racist and carrying some sort of racist agenda, and there are some sort of white supremacists. And you know what? There are racist people in America, and there are racist cops, and there are bad cops, and there are bad people everywhere. But that doesn't mean that everybody in America is bad and everybody in America is racist. This is the narrative that they're pushing out there, and America is starting to look like a joke to the rest of the world, and it needs to stop. It really needs to stop. We need to make a change, and we need to stand up for ourselves right now, because this is 1,000,000,000% not okay. They're literally picking and choosing what pieces of the stories they want to share, just like they did with the George Floyd situation. If the media would have released all the cop footage like they had, most likely people would not have reacted the way that they did in regards to George Floyd. And let me be very clear. Let me be very clear before I get any sort of hate mail or anything like that. George Floyd did not deserve to die. George Floyd did not deserve to die. What those cops and how they handled that situation was a mess. All right, but if you watch the rest of the video, George Floyd had friends inside the car. They got out. They told George Floyd to calm down. They told him to relax. They told him to stop resisting. It was crazy. It was a mess. I don't know what was going on, but something was wrong with that. And based off of that video alone, it's obvious that there needs to be better police. There needs to be better police training in regards to how they handle those that are mentally unstable, those that are scared. Because George Floyd kept talking about that he was scared, he didn't want to get shot, he was crying. There were some issues going on there. Yeah, he might have been high on fentanyl, but these cops, this is their job to be dealing with people who are a little bit difficult. It shouldn't have been taken to that level. But because the media chose not to show us all the information, they chose to really rile us up And what's most likely going to happen now is that all four of those cops are going to get off due to prosecutorial overcharge. And if you thought those riots were bad in honor of George Floyd before, they're going to get even worse. And you have Obama and Biden and everybody talking about how like, oh, how do they say? They pretty much say that the law's not good for you right now. The government's not working for you now. So riot, protest, and do what you guys can to show your American freedom. They're pretty much saying that what the riot and burning down all these companies, buildings and small businesses and all these things are good for you. Well, you know what? No, like, let me just take a step back right now, because I understand that when people get pushed into a corner, that when an animal gets put into a corner that they can't get out, they lash, they bite, they claw, they go crazy. All right, and this is literally what's happening right now. The black community has gotten to the point where we feel like we're not being heard, and when your oppressor is oppressing you to the point where like you just have nothing to do, you fight back. You fight back, and this is what's happening right now. Now, do I agree with the rioting and the looting and stuff like that? No. Do I understand that there are bad apples and there's bad seeds in there? Yes, I do understand that. But what I believe also is that what is happening right now with how the media is doing it, how we're having way too many people like Antifa and agitators coming to these protests, we need to be careful. We need to be careful. And we see that these videos also, that a lot of these cops are abusing the situation too, and we need to be very careful. We need to stop going out there protesting after dark, because nothing good happens at that time. Nothing good happens at that time. Look what happened to that kid the other day. But not trying to drone on like that. These are the things that the media pushes, and because of their half-truths, it causes all these riots to happen. It causes people to get put off to get off like these cops, and it's just not okay. The media is supposed to be a neutral source. And we need to start calling them out on that. And until they do, people like me are going to start trying to give you guys the news and start doing what the media is supposed to do. Start giving you guys the news that they're supposed to be providing to you guys, because right now it's not okay. It's not okay. All right. So Michelle Obama came out during the Democratic convention last week, and she was talking about how Trump wasn't the right president, how he wasn't the right one for the job, how he was putting all those migrant children in those cages. But she also alluded to the fact that Trump is a racist, just like everybody does, like all the rest of the media does too. Yet she blatantly ignored the fact that her own husband was the one that created the cages. All right, all those cages that they are labeling them, her own husband, Barack Obama, was the one that created those cages. Why? Because he was going to put some of those migrants in there the first time. What about that wall? Well, you know what? One of her good friends, George Bush, was signed that. What was it called? The Secure Fence Act of 2006. And then Hillary Clinton also supported the wall too, until Donald Trump jumped on that bandwagon, and she's like, "Oh no, I don't want to be about that. I don't want to do that anymore." Well, you know what? Like I understand how he's saying it is a little bit aggressive, but we need to be America first. We are all here paying taxes, and we need to make sure that we cater to those ones that are here, right? And I do understand, because I have friends that are illegal too. Don't get me twisted. I have friends that are here illegally too. And they have all gone the correct way. They've all gone and taken their paperwork done. And what I believe happened to them as well is that when Trump was doing all his travel bans and was cutting off everybody and everything like that, the people that actually put in their paperwork in a while ago were the ones that were getting approved for their green cards. All right, so it looks like the ones that were actually putting in the work to stay here and that were doing things the right way, the ones that were actually working, the ones that were actually paying a rent, were the ones that were actually getting their green card approved. Because every single one of my friends that are actually like hard-working Americans that would actually be considered a hard-working American, they all got their green card. All of them did. All of them did. Calling every single immigrant that comes here a rapist and a murderer, that is not okay. And I don't agree with that. But I believe that every immigrant that comes here needs to do it the right way, and there's a way to do everything. There's a wrong and a right way to do everything, and enough is enough. And part of what's going on with that wall is to really stop the human trafficking that's going on. But that's a whole different story. There's a lot of trafficking coming through the Mexican border. People are talking about, well, why don't you build a wall through Canada? Canada polices their borders properly. Mexico, unfortunately, does not. And until they do that a little bit better, there's going to be people coming from all over the world through Mexico, not just Mexicans. All right. And that's the one thing that we need to remember. But moving forward, the media loves to downplay the vulgarities and the lies and the missteps of Biden, talking about how Grandpa Biden, how it's Reagan-esque. Like, I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But then they blatantly slander and lie about Trump, and enough is enough. Like, I can't stand it. Every single one of us has had a lie told on us, and nobody has liked it. Like, they literally went out there and said that Trump, the ban on transgender with the CDC, that was a 100% lie. The media went around saying that Trump was banning certain words like transgender from the CDC, and that was a 100% lie. Like, where did they even get these things from? And a lot of people are still running around believing that it's true, and it's not. All right, there was a post when Trump got elected talking about how there was a spike in trans suicides. That also wasn't proven. So, like, what's really going on with the media, and why are they putting these fake narratives and pushing all this whole fear agenda to all of us? Like, it's not okay. All right, I'm tired of having my emotions played with. I'm tired of my friends and my family having their emotions played with, and enough is enough. And until the media gets it together, people like me are going to continue to bring the news to you guys, and I don't have a problem with it. All right, so let's get it together. Let's get it together. All right, so moving forward. Most people don't even realize that anti-black and anti-Hispanic prejudice went down since 2016. Has been down a steep decline. All right, a steep decline. The New Yorker ran a piece in November 2016 declaring hate is on the rise since Trump's election. All right, quoting certain incidents that happened collected by the Southern Poverty Law Center. All right, they talked about an experience of a little girl in Colorado who was allegedly told by a white man, now that Trump is president, I'm going to shoot you and all the blacks I can find. All right, Time magazine also wrote a story in the same month announcing racist incidents are up since Donald Trump's election. All right, in 2017, The Nation asserted Donald Trump's rise has coincided with an explosion in hate groups, claiming that 100 racist organizations have been founded since Trump began his presidential campaign. All right, but is all of this true? They're pushing all this agenda through the media, having everybody feel like, oh my word, what is really going on? But is this true? Is this true? All right, facts don't care about your feelings. All right, facts don't care about your feelings. So let's talk about what's true. All right, according to Spectator US. All right, according to Spectator US, a parasociologists from the University of Pennsylvania, Daniel Hopkins and Samantha Washington, did a study with using a randomly selected panel of 2,500 Americans whose changing opinions have been under study since 2008. All right, you guys can look up the study yourself. All right, you can look up the study yourself, and according to that study, they found that exactly what the media was saying was the opposite. All right, Americans have actually become less inclined to express racist opinions since Donald Trump was elected. All right, you guys can look this up yourself. Anti-black prejudice, they found, declined by a statistically insignificant degree between 2012 and 2016 when Barack Obama was in office and when Trump was elected. All right, but then after 2016, it took a sharp dive that was statistically significant. All right, moreover, contrary to their expectations, the fall was evident among Republican voters as it was among Democrats. There was also a general fall in anti-Hispanic prejudice too, although this was more evident among Democrat voters. Come on, you guys, facts don't care about your feelings, and you guys need to take a look at this survey because it's there for you guys. All right, the media is out there talking about how Trump is making everybody hateful and he's driving the country apart. But then when there's a survey done talking, like, measuring prejudice in people, and finding out there was a sharp decline when he was put into office. Why? I'm not a psychologist or a therapist or anything like that, but I believe people started to check themselves. All right, people started to check themselves before they wrecked themselves. Nobody wanted to be associated with what Trump was saying. People saw the negativity and what they thought was a drive in the racial divide or whatever of America, and they didn't want to be associated with that, so they stopped. They stopped saying the racist jokes. They stopped laughing at racist things, and they started to be a little bit more friendly, and they started to realize that the things that they said actually mattered. All right, that's why. All right, so maybe free speech is actually really important. Maybe. All right, we need to really fight for that. We need to fight for our rights and fight for our free speech and fight for and stop allowing the media to tell us what we can say. You know, like there's a difference between people saying what you can't say and things that are inappropriate between than them telling us what we can say, and I'm over with them telling us what we can say. Let's move on. Let's move on because we're really gonna get it. We're gonna get into all of that. So moving into the next point that I have, all right, many of us literally forget that Trump has been a rich white man his entire life. All right, Trump has been a rich white man his entire life. Yeah, it sounds really obvious, but we seem to forget like what that entails. You know, we can't expect him to understand our struggles as a minority, as a black person especially. I know I can't expect him. I know I don't expect him to. Like, but I can see that he's trying. I can literally see that he's trying. All right, and until we tell him what we want, all he can do is throw darts in the dark. Like, come on, like unless we start linking up together and actually telling them exactly what we want, he's not gonna be able to help us. And when we do tell him what we want, he's actually helped, and he's actually been quite willing to listen. Prime example was when the federal government provided financial relief through the deferments to private HBCUs that saw their enrollments decline due to changes made to the Parent Plus loan program during the Obama administration. All right, that change, by the way, was not backed by many of the by the black leaders in education. All right, they were totally against it. And what Donald Trump did was that he took Congress and they listened to the complaints, and they actually backed they actually backed what the HBCUs were asking for, and they approved of the deferments, and they even issued refunds for the payments that were made so far that year. All right, so like if we ask him for what we want, most likely we will get it. All right, if we ask him for what we want, most likely we'll get it. But so many of us are saying like, well, that's not enough. That's not enough. He needs to do more. We need to be very vocal and very specific about what more we want, because he doesn't know. He's never lived the life of a black person before. Okay, like the Trump administration has increased federal funding for the Strengthening Historically Black Colleges program by roughly 80 million, from 245 million to 325 million. All right, like something to note though, something to note when I was looking at the studies, federal science and engineering obligations went down by 17% for HBCUs. However, that trend was on a decline since 2009. It was on a decline from 2009 to 2013. There was a slight bump in 2014, and then it went back down again. All right, so everybody wants to call out all the things that Donald Trump isn't doing, but what he is doing isn't being covered appropriately by the media, and it isn't being covered fairly. All right, but moving forward, black unemployment rates are at an all-time low. He's also increased hourly wages for the black community. All right, and I know that he cares about saving the children as much as I do, because he's put laws in place that say that he does, that prove that he does. Like, and this is just for the black community alone. I know that he's done things for his own community too. You know, once again, facts don't care about your feelings, and we need to acknowledge that there are things that are being done that are actually helping us. You know, one of the biggest problems that I have is that our literacy rates and the educational rates within the black community are at a decline. You know, I read that HBCU graduates represent over $150 billion in assets. That's not no chump change. We need to take care of our education in the black community especially, and we need to figure these out, and telling him what we want in these regards are going to help that. I really don't know I don't know how else to say it, but I'm not a big fan of what Trump says most of the time. Like, I understand that he says some like really ignorant things sometimes, and I wish that he would just be quiet in others. Like telling Ghislaine Maxwell that he wishes her well, he could have just said nothing. You know, creating the whole travel trans ban in the military, he could have just done nothing. You know, there are things that he's done that I don't agree with. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that he has done that I do agree with. You know, and I put my feelings to the side, and I realize that I've worked with racist people before, I've worked with difficult people before, and I've had to deal with it. You know, the only thing, like, I'm a salesperson. I've dealt with commission sales, and I know that the only thing that really matters is how I deal with things in life. The only thing that's really going to matter is me. You know, how, like, whenever somebody does something to me, whenever somebody says something to me, whatever happens, and whatever like happens in the next 5 years is going to be solely dependent on me. If I get depressed about it, or if I take it and I take it as a badge, and I use it as some haterade, and I move forward on it, like, that's solely up to me. You know, Nikki Haley, all right, Herman Cain, all right, Tim Scott are examples of how capitalism works, and are examples of how hard work and dedication and just perseverance pays off. All right, even Barack Obama, in a sense, you know, Barack Obama admitted to smoking crack and smoking weed, and he was still able to become the president of the United States. All right, so you can do any, like, black people, we can overcome anything. We can still achieve high things. Don't let the media tell you otherwise. All right? Don't let them do that to you. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. Like, my people are jumping, like, they're stressing out over these things. We all losing our hair, and it takes us a long time for us to grow back. And enough is enough. Enough is enough. All right? Pete Buttigieg was asked during the Democratic presidential debate about race and policing, and Harris, of course, wanted to interject herself into the conversation as the only black person on the stage. Of course, she wanted to let everybody know that. All right, so she should have the right to speak. All right, and when Rachel Maddow gave her 30 seconds, she wants to be like, I almost said something. Chick, shut up. Like, she literally goes talking about, I'm going to now direct this up. You know what? Watch the clip. Watch the clip. Watch the clip.
Thank you very much. Vice President Biden, we're going to get to you. Hang on, we're going to get
on stage. I would like to speak on the issue of race.
Senator Harris,
and so what I will say is that
I could preface this, we will give you 30 seconds, since we're going to come back to you on this again in just a moment. Go for 30 seconds.
Okay. So on the issue of race, I couldn't agree more that this is an issue that is still not being talked about truthfully and honestly. There is not a black man I know, be he a relative, a friend, or a coworker, who has not been the subject of some form of profiling or discrimination. Growing up, my sister and I had to deal with the neighbor who told us her parents couldn't play with us because we were black. And I will say also that in this campaign, we've also heard, and I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden, I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. Mm-hmm. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me. So I will tell you that on this subject, it cannot be an intellectual debate among Democrats. We have to take it seriously. We have to act swiftly. As Attorney General of California, I was very proud to put in place a requirement that all my special agents would wear body cameras and keep those cameras on.
Senator Harris, thank you.
Like, I don't even know what to say sometimes to these people, because like what is that? I'm now gonna direct this at Vice President Biden. I'm not saying that you're racist, but like, or I don't, what'd she say? I do not believe you are a racist. But then she goes and talks about how he hurt her feelings when he said that he didn't want that bus to come to her school. Like, she literally called Joe Biden out for opposing desegregation. All right, and then she started off by talking about, I do not believe you are racist. But somebody who opposes desegregation most likely is. Like, I mean. And then when she was asked about it, she talks about how she said when she was asked about it, she said, I want Joe Biden to be the next president of the United States. All right. I believe in Joe Biden. I believe in his perspective. And frankly, I think that conversation is a distraction from what we need to accomplish right now and what we need to do. It's a distraction. Everything I've said in the past is a distraction. All right. Don't pay attention to that. Pay attention to right now. All right. So basically, don't believe what she says right now, because who knows, she can change her mind tomorrow. And what she said yesterday is a distraction. If I can't take you for your word, like, what can I take you for? Nothing. Like hello somebody, like, who does she think she is? Like, this isn't okay. Like, and then she said, I think it was Stephen Colbert, when he asked her about it, and she said that it was a debate. That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah, you're supposed to destroy people with the truth in a debate. That's how you win a debate. All right, and you still lost, but now you're the VP. Biden lost 3 presidential, but like, whatever. Like, let's not even go into that. But like, it was a distraction. But we need to take her for what she is, and not let it go, because this is not okay. All right, she doesn't care what she has to say to get into the office. We all know that something's wrong with Biden, and most likely he's not going to get through his first term in office. All right, so when he gets out of office, she's going to get what she wanted the whole time. So she doesn't care that she has to lick some boots to get there. She don't care. She don't care. All right, she's going to lick those boots, she's going to shine them up, and she's going to get that office when she wants it, all right? And I got a question, all right? I'm not sure about this or not, but if Joe Biden gets out of the office during his first term, if he were to win, and Kamala Harris takes over for him, would she be able to run out for 2 consecutive terms after that? So would that allow her to have three terms as a president? Hello, somebody. We need to get it together. Leave your comments below. Let me know. All right, and this is the problem that I have with the left. All right, they say all these things and they don't mean any of it. All right, they don't mean any of it. A lot of the politicians have done that. A lot of them have, and I've called Donald Trump on this out many times before. Why isn't he prosecuting Hillary Clinton? Why isn't Mexico paying for the border wall? You know, he tried. At least he tried. You know, he openly tried. He openly tried to make Mexico pay for the border wall. He openly tried. I don't really understand what's going on with Hillary Clinton, but she started going off of that judicial watch, try to prosecute her. Then they said that we the people don't have the right to know, but that's a whole different story. But he's trying. All right, and these politicians that have gone into office in the past, they haven't done anything. All right, and we need to hold them accountable. All right, look how the media covers up for Joe Biden when he says all these things, and they just make excuses for him. All right, Trump says crazy things too, and Joe Biden says crazy things as well. Joe Biden says even crazier things. All right, look at it. Look at this mess.
First mainstream African American, who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man.
Yeah. There is a part of Biden that feels more Reagan-esque that way. You're like, it's Grandpa, it's Uncle Joe.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Those "oh, that Joe" moments are part of his political charm.
I'm beginning to see why your wife left you.
So much of what is appealing about him to a lot of voters is the fact that he's authentic.
I got hairy legs.
The fact that he doesn't always seem scripted.
The kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. And I tell you what, the men, they're now all men, the guys I work with down here, and they're all your AR-14s.
Okay, this is not okay. Hold on. All right. Hey, let's there's a lot of guys.
Biden yesterday showed the other side of his humanity, and that is he's a fighter.
You're full.
And some people see that as charming, a candidate who's willing to air it out face to face with a guy.
This is going to be a net plus for Joe Biden.
Like I can't even. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. But like, as funny as it is a little bit, it's still really messed up. The man talking about how kids like are rubbing his hairy legs in the pool. They came up to him and rubbing his hairy leg in the pool. Like, no. Like, no. Like Donald, like everybody flipped out about Donald Trump saying that he could grab anybody by the pussy if he wanted to, and nobody would do anything. And and Joe Biden said kids would come up to him and rub his hairy legs, and he wouldn't do anything. He thought it was funny. Like, this isn't okay. That's not okay. They talk about he's grandpa, he's Reagan-esque. No, he's not. That's not okay. He was pointing in that man's face and cursing him out, and they're talking about, oh, that shows a strong side of him. So what about when Donald Trump was saying that America should be first and how we shouldn't be giving China all of our money? Like, isn't that being strong for the American people? Like, you see the difference is ridiculous, and I'm gonna get into the facts a little bit more in just a minute, but like that's just a small example of it. That's just a small example of it. And if the media is gonna treat one person like, they need to treat the other person like that too. I'm so sick of this biased media agenda, because that's not supposed to be how it is. That's not supposed to be how it is, and I'm sick of it. And you guys should be too. Biden says whatever he wants, just like Trump does. He does whatever he wants, just like Trump does. All right? Like, let's get it together and be mad about it all. And not just pick and choose what we want to be mad about. And not just pick and choose what the media allows us to be mad about. All right, so, and before you guys think that I'm going overboard on the media and overreacting on the media, Facebook did an entire study on emotional contagion and how to use the media to manipulate people. All right, so you don't need to watch the mainstream media. You don't need to watch the news. You don't need to be involved in any of that stuff to still be caught up in it. All right, you don't need to be involved in any, you don't need to watch it to be caught up in it. All right, the study, you guys can literally look it up, experimental evidence of massive scale emotional contagion through social networks. All right, there was a study by Adam Kramer, Jamie Guillory, and Jeffrey Hancock. It was done in 2014. All right, and basically the significance that shows that they studied almost 700,000 people and on Facebook, and it said that emotional states can be transferred to others via emotional contagion, leading people to experience the same emotions without their awareness. We provide experimental evidence that emotional contagion occurs without direct interaction between people. It occurs without interaction between people. All right, exposure to a friend expressing an emotion is sufficient, and in the complete absence of nonverbal cues. All right, being exposed to your friend and expressing themselves non-verbally is enough for you to be influenced by the media's agenda. So you don't have to watch the media to be influenced by the emotional contagion. All right, let's get it together. Let's get it together. And this is not okay. So before you think that I'm going crazy and going overboard on this stuff, there has been studies and there's factual information, there's factual evidence based that they are using us and they are manipulating us to control our emotions and to control us, to drive us to do what they want. All right? Facts don't care about your feelings, and we need to get it together. We need to wake up. And this is the one thing that I appreciate about Donald Trump. He's forcing everybody to wake up and to pay attention. All right? And this is what the Democratic left, the left, don't want. They don't want us to wake up. They want us to stay sleeping, and it's not okay. All right? And let me be very clear once again. I am not in support of any one of their behaviors. I'm not in support of what a lot of the Trump said, like a lot of what Donald Trump says. All right? But they both need a lot of improvement. All right? But I can't stand what the media is doing, and this unfair media coverage is not okay. It's not okay. Like his advisors and everybody set him up to go on The View, to go apologize for his harassment accusations and to numerous women. Joy Behar literally set him up talking about like they just want you to apologize. Many of the women on there said like maybe it would just be all cleared up with if you just apologize, and he didn't apologize. He not one time did he say I'm sorry for doing that. He made excuses and skirted around and then the closest thing that you got was I'm sorry that like I didn't know that you felt uncomfortable. He pretty much said I'm sorry that you feel bad. Like, this is not okay. This is not okay behavior. It's not okay behavior. It's not. And they put him on The View to just apologize, like just saying I'm sorry makes it okay, but that doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it okay. Like, he's still doing these things, and if Donald Trump is getting dragged through the ground for doing certain things, then Joe Biden needs to be dragged the same way. All right? If they're not talking about Joe Biden for doing certain things, then they need to stop talking about Donald Trump for doing other things and focus on the facts, so that way everybody can make a right choice and make a proper, knowledgeable decision about who they want to elect as a president. Because as of now, there are so many people that are confused, so many people that are just upset and just feeling so distraught and just feeling over the whole thing. And I'm over this. I'm over this. And it's not okay. It's not okay. All right? So let's get it. Let's get it. All right, so once again, let's look at some more facts. Let's look at some more facts. So from Newsbusters did a study on their own also. This was published in 2000. This was published a few days ago, August 17th, 2020. All right, this was published by Newsbusters. They did a study that showed 150 times more negative news was made on Trump than on Biden. They realized that with Donald Trump spending over $100 million to fight Hillary Clinton, that he would be willing to do the same thing of his again. All right, and Joe Biden doesn't come from that kind of money, so they wanted to make sure that he got just as much coverage, if not more. So the media literally took the job of advertisement. They literally took the job of advertisement from June 1st through. This is from Newsbusters again. All right, pay attention. From June 1st through July 31st, ABC, CBS, and NBC evening newscasts focused 512 minutes of airtime on the president, or 9 times more than the 58 minutes allotted to Biden. All right? This excludes coverage of the Trump administration in general when not associated with the president himself. This is an even wider gap than the spring when Trump received 7 times more coverage than Biden, 523 minutes versus 75 minutes. All right, the extra airtime devoted to Trump consisted almost entirely of anchors and reporters criticizing the president. During these 2 months, our analysts documented 668 evaluative statements about the president, 95% of which were negative. A mere 5%, only 34 of those 668 comments, only 34 comments were positive. If that doesn't get you like alone, like I don't know what will. I don't know what will. Using the same methodology, we found very few evaluative statements about Joe Biden, just a dozen. All right, 67% of his statements were positive. All right, doing the math, viewers heard 150 times more negative comments about Trump than they did of Biden. All right, that's not news reporting. That's a negative advertising campaign in action. And if you take a look at the Facebook emotional contagion study, you realize that all of that adds up to why we're feeling the way that we're feeling about Donald Trump right now. And if you don't know, now you know. Ask yourself, if you weren't aware of all these ignorant things that Donald Trump was saying, would you still hate him as much as you do? Would you still dislike him as much as you do? Would you approve of the way that he's handling the American economy if you didn't know of all the extra things that he did on the side? You know, if the mainstream media portrayed Biden the same way that they do to Trump, dragged him for all the messed up things he says, dragged him for smelling those women's hair, feeling those little girls, and that Maggie girl making her cringe like that, if they did this, if they dragged him and they represented him the same way instead of apologizing for him.
Coon said Maggie was not uncomfortable at all.
Would you still think that he's the lesser of two evils? I'm not a fan of the things that Trump does. Once again, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of many of the things that he does. But like, he's helping my community since he's been in office, and the mainstream media is refusing to talk about it. And I will. All right. We all need to take a deep breath and get out of our feelings and get out of our emotions. Take a step aside. Like, put our emotions to the side and just look and just acknowledge that it's not as bad as they're showing it to be. You know, there are racist people, definitely. There are white supremacists, definitely. There are bad cops, definitely. And there are bad politicians. You know, but that doesn't make up the whole of America. It doesn't make up the whole of America. That's only a very, very small portion of it. And if we can just drain the swamp and weed them out, we'll check them real quick. Because Trump's rhetoric already has driven down anti-black and anti-Hispanic prejudice already since he's been in office, just by his emotionally charged language. So, like, once again, I'm not a big fan of the things that Donald Trump says, but he's been helping my community since he's been in office as much as he knows how to. All right? As much as he knows how to. So Biden gets elected. According to the Washington Times, it says Joe Biden tackles economy with big $700 billion spending plan. He doles out $400 billion for federal Buy American spending, $300 billion on high tech. All right? $300 billion on high tech. Now, okay. This doesn't even make any sense, to be honest. Because how are you going to tackle, to revamp the economy by spending with big tech? If you look at the stock market right now, the best performing stocks right now are in big tech. They don't need your money. They're weathering through this crisis just fine. All right, they don't need your money. So for you to focus it over there, I don't know what's going on. But Where is he going to be getting this $700 billion? Well, let's take a look. All right. Over $10 trillion he plans to raise in the next 10 years in taxes. All right. The country is still recovering from COVID-19, and he wants to add over $10 trillion in taxes. All right. The country is still recovering, and he wants to increase taxes. By the way, we left monarch rule. The Revolutionary War was started primarily because of the high taxes that we did not want to pay. So for him to raise taxes now and think that that's the solution to what's going on with America is beyond me. I don't understand why that makes sense. And you shouldn't either, but you can think however you want to. I'm not the mainstream media. I'm not going to tell you how to think. All right? I'm just going to tell you my opinion. All right. The country is recovering and they still want to add taxes. All right. Biden also wants to reinstate the Obamacare individual mandate that fine people sometimes $2,000 in cases where, for not having insurance. All right. Most of the families that were fined made less than $50,000 per year as a family. And he wants to reinstate that. Like, I don't understand how that makes sense, because if they couldn't afford insurance, what makes you think that they can afford this fine? Hello, somebody. Like, and so many of us are calling him the lesser of two evils. You know, Matthew 25, Jesus literally said, for whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does have not, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now, if you don't think that that's what Joe Biden is trying to do, I don't know. But it's the Bible that's going to happen. Well, then are you literally trying to fulfill the Bible, this kind of Bible prophecy? You literally letting him into the office will fulfill this prophecy. He wants to raise taxes when you already broke. All right, he has enough. And he wants to give more to big tech. That doesn't even make any sense. They have more, and they're gonna get even more by Joe Biden. Like, I used to follow the media really closely, and I was fighting alongside the liberal left for a while. All right, like, I don't really like labels, but that was probably the closest back bucket that I would fit in. All right. The moment I started looking into all this stuff and started researching this information on my own, I quickly crawled out of that place, and I rejected that foolishness, because I realized that I was supporting the oppressor, and that's not what I was going to do for my life. All right. Jordan Peterson literally says that if you say no early on in your oppression and you mean it, meaning you state your refusal in no uncertain terms and stand by what you say, then the scope on behalf of the oppressor will stay bound and limited. So we need to say no. We need to say no. All right? Donald Trump is willing to do the things that we let him do if we ask him for it. And the things that we don't want him to do, we need to tell him no. And then Joe Biden is planning to do all these things, and Joe Biden and Barack Obama are literally telling us they're not offering you any facts or solutions. They're playing to our emotions. By the way, they're not giving you any sort of any proper solutions on what they want to do. But right over here, part of Joe Biden's plan when he gets into office, he wants to spend $700 billion on helping to revamp the economy, and $300 billion of that is going to go to big tech. And we thought that everybody was mad that including myself, that these stimulus payments were going to public companies, like in hospitality specifically. And they were actually suffering. The hospitality industry was actually suffering. All right, big tech right now is not, and Joe Biden wants to give them money. Why aren't we mad about that? And why aren't the mainstream media talking about this more so everybody can be mad about it and know? Why? Because they want to control your emotions and they want to control the narrative. Like, we all have a lot of work to do, and it is absolutely necessary that we stop playing the victim and stop allowing these liberal leftists to let us play the victim. Because what I started to realize was that my life is good. Like, I work hard for everything that I get. You know, some things some things are a struggle. Some things are a struggle, and it's the climb. But everything that I have, I got it myself. You know, and you can do the same thing. You can do the same thing. You don't have to you don't have to let somebody else tell you that you're being victimized and that people are taking advantage of you. Because you know what? There's plenty of information on the internet right now that shows you what the salaries are and everything like that. You can fight for yourself. And if you feel like you are being victimized or bullied, you can sue. You can sue, or you can leave, or you can go somewhere else. We have a lot of different choices right now. Job creation was an all-time high. All right, black unemployment rates are an all-time low. There's a lot of places that we can go right now. We have a lot of different opportunities, and this is what Donald Trump has provided for us. All right, so we don't have to take this abuse anymore, and we don't have to be a victim anymore. We're the true victims. If you want to ask me, the true victims are our unspoken victims, and that are our babies that are aborted every single day, every single year. All right, we need to start talking about saving the children, all of the children, and that includes the unborn babies. You know, and before anybody gets crazy with me, I understand that there are exceptions to every rule when it comes to abortion, especially when it comes to like health or rape or incest or things like that. But when it comes to just using abortion as a means of contraception, I'm totally against that. It's dangerous and it's not okay. Condoms are extremely cheap and they should be used anyways. All right? They should be used anyways. But like this was not about that. This was not about that. I just want to once again talk about how we need to stop playing the victim and we need to stop allowing the media to show that like there's this whole race divide, because it's not the case. It's not the case. All right? We all are living and working hard, and we can make the changes that we need to make in our lives if we make them. All right? We all know what we need to do. We need to stop allowing the media to tell us that like somebody's going to be out there to be our savior, especially somebody that's been a rich white man their whole life. They are never going to be our savior. All right, but you're going to be your own savior. You need to buckle down, look inside, and fight for what you want, and figure it out if you don't know. And figure it out if you don't know, because there have been so many guests and speakers that came to the Republican National Convention that spoke that totally blow the whole narrative of this racist president and this biased president and this whole race war out of the water. Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, that football player, I can't remember his name right now. But enough is enough. Enough is enough. All right, you write your own story to your book of life. All right, you write the own story, and you're writing it right now, just like I'm writing mine right now, and mine's gonna be great. Will yours? All right, you guys. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share the content if you like it. I know you do, so you will. All right, Trump 2020. All right, Trump 2020. We're up for the patriotism. All right, once again, I'm excited for our freedom, our future. All right, and if you don't vote Trump, you're not American. Bye, guys. One love. Peace.